While he was still in Switzerland, Matthias Liniger was pretty unhappy with the mundane and routine life he was living. Although he got paid well for developing subdivisions, Matthias was overworked, working 7 days a week for something that he didn't enjoy. He was in a never-ending rat race, and he wanted out. Luckily, Claudia wanted the same thing as her husband. She, too, was working too hard and wanted to escape the life of constantly chasing success. Looking for a perfect place to settle for their escape, Matthias remembered Yukon. Before they were a couple, Matthias had visited the place and was struck by the breathtaking views of the forest, rivers, and mountains, not to mention the fine, humble people, wild animals, and wide-open spaces he encountered. Eventually, the two cashed out, selling everything they owned, and took a rented RV to the Canadian territory. They drove up the South Canol Road near Teslin Village and into the driveway of a rural property on 4 Mile Creek. In 2006, they bought a house and never left again. The two struggled at first, but eventually got new jobs at a hotel in Whitehorse. Claudia cleaned rooms while Matthias sorted laundry. Through time, Claudia found work at the Teslin Library, and Matthias got hired in the finance department of the Teslin Tlingit First Nation. Still, the two were missing something in their life. They wanted to build something, and so the two started a business, offering wilderness trips and accommodations to Europeans seeking a taste of the great outdoors. They called their company Breath of Wilderness, and it was a fitting name for a business that offered visitors a chance to experience the beauty of the Yukon. The backcountry life in the Yukon was a far cry from their city life in Switzerland. They had to fix everything on their own, the plumbing, solar panels, and even chop their own firewood. Eventually, the two made it work, and the business ran smoothly. The bookings rolled in. The two became keenly aware of being in grizzly country and took all precautions they could manage. They carried bear bangers and bear sprays and got a large Alaskan Malamute named Kona to accompany them anywhere they went. For Claudia and Matthias, the Yukon was more than just a place to make a living. It was a place to escape from the hustle and bustle of modern life, a place where they could reconnect with nature and each other. However, tragedy reared its ugly head amidst this dreamlike home life, and Matthias and Claudia's lives would soon be unraveled. It was October 18th, 2014. Matthias and Claudia were sitting inside, enjoying the early Saturday with a cup of coffee and their favorite books. The only sound was the crackling of the fire in the hearth and the soft rustling of leaves outside. It was a perfect day for relaxing and unwinding from their busy lives. Suddenly, the silence was shattered by Kona's frantic barking. The big Alaskan Malamute was outside in the yard, and it was clear that something was wrong. Matthias thought this was unusual. He stood from his chair and rushed to the window to see what the commotion was about. To his horror, it was a grizzly bear lumbering toward their house. The massive animal looked angry and disoriented, and it was clear that it was not going to stop until it reached them. However, the bear looked weathered and slimmer than usual. The approaching grizzly was a 38-year-old male nearing the end of its life cycle. Bears typically only live to the age of 25. This bear was extremely old. It is not unusual for male bears, as they get older, to be pushed out of their prime habitat by stronger, younger males. Unfortunately, these older bears will struggle to accumulate enough energy and fat reserves for the incoming winter hibernation, causing them to seek easier food sources. This makes these types of bears all the more dangerous. Claudia and Matthias were at the wrong place at the wrong time. The bear stood upright on its hind legs and leaned against the window, shattering the glass under the weight of the bear. It entered their home. Claudia and Matthias were petrified. They had never seen a bear so close and aggressive. They quickly realized they needed to get out of the house and find a safe place to hide. Claudia ran outside, hoping to hide in the SUV parked in the driveway. Meanwhile, Matthias made his way to a second vehicle parked nearby. The bear searched for them, eventually turning its attention toward Matthias. The 400-pound creature stood on top of the vehicle's hood, seemingly looking for prey. Matthias knew he had to do something, so he quickly honked the vehicle's horn repeatedly, hoping to scare off the bear, and it worked. The bear seemed to be taken aback by the noise and decided to leave. Claudia, hearing the noise, thought it was a good opportunity to run toward Matthias, but as she made her way to the vehicle, the bear caught her off guard. She could hear the bear growling behind her, and she knew she was in trouble. The bear lunged at Claudia, dragging her into the nearby woods. Horrified at what he saw, Matthias ran to the house and scrambled for his gun. He ran as quickly as he could back out to find that Claudia was being mauled by the bear. In the midst of panic, Matthias told Claudia to lie down and play dead. The sound of gunshots echoed through the forest, and the smell of gunpowder filled the air. Matthias had let loose several shots at the grizzly bear attacking Claudia. He was sweating up a storm as he watched the massive animal flinch and eventually fall to the ground. As Matthias approached the bear's lifeless body, he saw Claudia lying motionless on the ground. Her clothes were torn, and she was bleeding heavily. He dropped the gun and carried her to the car. Bundling his wife into their pickup truck, Matthias sped through the Alaskan highway toward Treslin, desperately trying to keep his wife alert and conscious. Matthias promised her that everything would be all right. He also told her how much he loved her. Unfortunately, it took him 20 minutes to get to the medical center. Despite the doctor's best efforts to revive her, Claudia succumbed to her injuries. To make matters even worse, the doctors discovered a gunshot wound in Claudia's chest, which they believed to be the cause of her death. Matthias felt like he had been punched in the gut. He couldn't believe the news. Although he didn't feel responsible for Claudia's death, it overwhelmed him that the bullet he fired killed her. According to the chief coroner of Yukon, Kirsten MacDonald, there was nothing Matthias could have done differently. The bear was in predatory mode and didn't plan on stopping the attack until Claudia was dead. Matthias had to kill the creature to the best of his ability, given the terrible circumstances. However, Claudia, playing dead, could have played a role in the catastrophic conclusion of the incident. MacDonald said that during predatory attacks, the victim should not play dead but instead fight back. Matthias recognized his mistake in telling Claudia to lie down. However, because of the frantic nature of the situation, he lost composure and couldn't think straight. Eventually, Matthias had to come to terms with the loss of his wife. Knowing they're in bear country, Matthias doesn't feel any anger toward the bear. He deemed that it was just doing what nature wanted it to do. However, he still mourns the death of his wife, Claudia. Claudia, she'll always be with me. She is everywhere. She's in the Northern Lights, or the Ravens, or anywhere, Matthias said in an interview. The death of Claudia Huber was a heartbreaking reminder that living in bear country is not without risk, and even in the safety of your own home, you may still meet your terrifying final affliction.